What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what's really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. Side note, happy Canada Day to all the Canadians out there, thus the glasses. But getting right to it, Lucid is down 4.98%, $2 the low, $2.11 the high, and 4.3 million shares being traded within the first roughly 15 minutes of the trading day. 138 million is the average. So today's kind of a low volume day, but we haven't really had the big data points. So we have manufacturing and Jolt numbers coming out in roughly 10 minutes from now. So if I'm still ranting by that time, I'll kind of talk on that. But Powell at 8:30 did kind of say some things that the market didn't necessarily like. One of which was just the whole higher for longer, economy is strong, no need to actually cut rates. So it's not exactly what the market did want to hear. But aside from that, though, you did also just have Trump say something that is hurting EVs. So him and Elon seem to be going back and forth, a little bit more of an argument again, but Trump did say, who wants a electric car? I don't want an electric car. There's one problem with it. It explodes. So that is crazy. I'm sure that in among itself could potentially prompt some lawsuits. I don't know if you can, I don't know. Regardless, this is clearly very damaging to EVs. So Tesla's down 6.23%, and that's because of his kind of resurgent of politics going back in there. Rivian is down 4.37, Lucid's down. So of course those comments are kind of hurting the EV market quite significantly. As far as Lucid today, no news, no SEC filings or anything like that. A couple other things that did recently come out that I wanted to share with you. One was posted by Lucid Oasis. So it looks like they are kind of entering into the Middle East region a little bit more. And I think that's one thing that Lucid has really lagged on. I know that's their bigger picture, but it's the Middle East presence. So it looks like they're going to be opening the doors in Abu Dhabi. So pretty good stuff for that. So hopefully they'll be able to capitalize on the money. Anyone living in that region, let me know marketing. I know a lot of Americans have cited that they have seen more and more Lucid kind of ads and articles, and even myself who lives in Canada, thus the glasses and all the jazz, but I've even seen a lot of Lucid marketing in Canada. So in the Middle East, do you think, have they been stepping it up? So question to all the individuals out there. Only other thing I do want to bring up, which I want to give a shout out to Truth Rules, but ultimately they forwarded me this article. And so Lucid's former CEO said to still advise creative teams in strategic roles. So it looks like Peter Rawlinson is still alive and well, still guiding Lucid. I think that based on what is being stated here, it's just being overdone. I can't really anticipate, because from here it looks like the same individuals that told him that kind of advised that Lucid or this individual, the chairman, I'm not going to butcher their name, but forced out Peter. And so logically, if you force out someone, you kind of pay them just to be quiet, but for the most part, you don't really listen to them. So I don't know. I do really think that they need to bring Peter back in the CTO role. Lucid really does need that certain level of passion. Mark seems very intellectual, but he doesn't really have that like drive. That's just my opinion. Of course, hopefully things could change. I know any CEO being put in that role is going to be, they have a lot to deal with, and Lucid, of course, wasn't, in my opinion, managed that well. That's because Peter was not a good CEO. Of course, like I said, he had good passion for CTO kind of role type of stuff, but CEO, I'm sure he made a huge mess of everything. So Mark definitely does have a lot of work cut out for him. So sometimes I guess I'm a little bit too hard on him, need to give him some leniency. But as far as data points today, shorts aren't really doing anything so far this morning, which is very odd given everything, Trump mentioning that. So most likely shorts are actually going to be waiting for the data points to come out. So Jolt numbers, manufacturing. So that's coming out, like I said, in roughly 10 minutes time. So I know that will be very surprising, because every time Lucid does have a crazy pullback, people assume it is shorts, and 9 times out of 10 it is actually shorts, but right now they're not doing anything. Again, we are pretty much sitting at all-time high short interest numbers, so 32.27% of the free float being shorted. As far as options goes, 157,000 in calls, 78,000 in puts. 58% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. And ultimately, the consensus is still bulls feel like it'll be roughly around that 250 mark. Bears for it to be sub 2. Based on so far what's happening on the secondary market, you see 3 strings of buys, 1 for 1.2. Most recently, there was a sell, but algorithmic trading clearly is picking up on what Trump mentioned, and as well Powell, and is really pushing a lot of stocks down. So it's not just Lucid, not just EVs, a lot of stocks are in the red. So it is unfortunate, but aside from that, with it at 202, currently it is trading between these 2 points. So this S2 and this S3. So $1.95 is going to be a strong support, and then 203 is going to be the next strong target / resistance, followed by 208. So Lucid is really breaking down on a technical standpoint, and I don't mean to keep repeating myself every single video, but honestly, the ball is in Lucid's court. They've been relatively quiet. Some could argue say too much. They clearly have some things in the works, because I know even Blacklane, for instance, they had that conference in April. Lucid Middle East did announce it, but officially Lucid has not actually disclosed that them and Blacklane have a partnership. So I don't know what is exactly they're waiting for, but it just goes to show that there is a gap that needs to be filled. And clearly Lucid, their marketing and PR is lagging. So I think that there definitely does need to be a fine line. Some companies just put out news for what they ate for breakfast, just too much. Some companies don't do anything. So I think Lucid is on kind of the latter, needs to be somewhere in the middle a little bit. So just my opinion, of course. I could be wrong, but aside from all of that stuff, no new analyst ratings, no articles or anything along those lines. As far as this goes on the chart, as I've mentioned, there's honestly nothing really positive to bring up. It obviously was really holding its level, good support levels, but by doing so, it kind of got itself into a little bit more of an overbought status. So with some negatives, you are seeing consolidation right now. So let me know your general thoughts on Lucid. As far as next real points to kind of watch for is what I mentioned from the Elliott Wave technical. It's about $1.80 to $1.90 is anticipated. It's coming a little bit sooner than I would have expected, but if you kind of have Powell and also Trump really hitting the market, things aren't really going to go according to plan. So it's interesting to see about this. So who wants an electric car? I don't want an electric car, which is kind of interesting. So things, you're once again seeing a little bit more of a breakup between Elon and Trump. Elon definitely never should have been put in that position ultimately, because yeah, you have now Trump just targeting EVs, which generally speaking, his administration doesn't favor EVs. So Lucid, Rivian already had a difficult scenario kind of in front of them, as what RJ from Rivian did mention, but yeah, let me know your viewpoint on everything that I mentioned on the latest updates. What's your viewpoint on them expanding to kind of the Middle East? What is within the Middle East? Peter, do you think that he actually is still advising them, or do you think that's they're just saying that just to avoid questions? Because of course, if someone's saying, yeah, Peter's still advising and he as a consultant, then people tend to not really ask questions. Whereas if he's just put in a corner, it goes to show and kind of does validate that he was essentially forced out from this, as you can see right there. So what's your viewpoint? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Are you buying the Lucid dip? Are you selling? What is your general thoughts on everything in the comments below? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, everything that you ever need in life. So with all that said, appreciate all of you watching, and you guys have a good day. If there's some crazy things that does happen today, I'll do a PM video just to kind of summarize and so forth. But as far as today, the big things are going to be the data points, so manufacturing and jolt numbers, and that's coming out in roughly like 5 minutes from now. So let me know your thoughts, and with all that, appreciate all of you watching.